Good afternoon. I am Andrea Chisholm with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. A reminder as well that you can download our One Spot Media app in the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1 followed by the word spot and media. More worrying information was revealed this morning regarding the National Road Operating and Construction Company NROC, which was established to implement the Highway 2000 project. An assessment by the Auditor General's Department uncovered several weaknesses in its operations. Acting Auditor General Dolores Linton Williams outlined the findings at this morning's sitting of Parliament's Public Accounts Committee PAC.
NROC recorded consistent net losses over the 6-year review period, except for 2011-12. NROC's solvency position was significantly weak, although its short-term liquidity position was fair, and NROC continually had negative equity, indicating that the entity is over-leveraged, accumulating more debt than assets.
NROC, which was set up in 2002, has over the years racked up billions of dollars in losses. The Chief Executive Officer and owner of Riu Hotel, one of the largest hotel chains, is facing legal woes. Riu has operations in Jamaica and other countries. TVJ's Ashane Masters has details.
Chief Executive Officer and owner of the Spanish hotel chain Riu, Riu Guell, on Monday surrendered to the Miami-Dade police. This as he faces allegations of conspiring to bribe Miami's top building official to help with the large-scale renovation of Riu's South Beach Hotel.
Riu Guell, the Chief Executive Officer and owner of Riu Hotels International, and Alejandro Sanchez Diarco, the Regional Manager for the Caribbean for Riu Hotels International, surrendered today on a warrant issued by the State Attorney's Office for unlawful compensation and conspiracy to commit unlawful compensation. We were able to agree with the government that they would post a $20,000 bond, and the purpose of the hearing this morning was so that my client, Mr. Riu Guell, and Art Hernandez's client, Mr. Sanchez Diarco, would be able to travel internationally and still conduct business while these charges are pending.
According to the Miami Herald, the state attorney's office believes that the former building official in Miami Beach, Mariano Fernandez, helped Riu with permitting and even allowing them to abandon fines.
That's why public corruption always eats at the very heart of a community. What we're making public here today is that the director, Fernandez, was able to intervene on someone's behalf on a building department issue at any time. And in the arrest warrant, you will see it shows a pattern that when there was something in it for him, Fernandez could get things done and the normal procedures could be bypassed. As is also alleged in the arrest warrant, those who sought Fernandez as special assistants knew that they had to give to Fernandez in order to get what they wanted.
Ashane Masters, TVJ News.
Can corporal punishment help to solve Jamaica's crime problem? That's the question this afternoon as Jamaica continues to grapple with an increase in murders. Social anthropologist at the University of the West Indies, UWI, Dr. Herbert Guell, gave his take on the matter during an interview on TVJ's Smile Jamaica this morning. Here's TVJ's Herman Green.
As Jamaica's crime figures continue to increase and the fight against crime becomes more challenging, many Jamaicans are calling for the government to revisit the laws relating to corporal punishment. Social anthropologist at the University of the West Indies, Mona, Dr. Herbert Guell, says Jamaica is at a vulnerable state and adding corporal punishment is not going to address the problem. He believes adding harsh punishment without first understanding humans will not change Jamaica's crime issues.
Picture a child who lives in the most hostile environment, who is starved, all of these things, and who happens to have the warrior gene and who happens also to have an imbalance for the purpose of survival. Take it every day and beat it. Take it every day, tell it about capital punishment, don't tell it about nurture or being a good boy or anything reinforcing or absolutely nothing good. Just torture it every day. What's your result? And I think this is what we're not getting. We're not bringing science to the discussion. We're not trying to understand what causes human beings to excel.
He said the crisis will not be averted if successive governments continue to focus on staying in power and overlooking the country's problems. He says that Jamaica is not poor, but how the money is spent makes it appear that the country is. Dr. Guell reiterated that the approach to solving crime should begin at the community level. He adds that mothers who live in inner city communities try hard to prevent their children from getting involved in gangs. However, their methods are doing more harm than good.
The point I'm making is that a lot of mothers are desperate to save their sons from this dilemma, whilst unknowingly are creating the same monster they're running away from.
Because they don't have the tools.
Because they don't have the tools, they don't have the resources. The family is like a heart. If you don't eat food, your heart don't have blood to pump to the same body that needs the food.
Yeah.
Dr. Guell said having a support system can assist some of these struggling mothers who are trying to prevent their children from joining gangs.
221 repeat killers in 9 different countries that I have studied. And it's the exact same thing. No support system. The mother is on her own. Not even neighbors help. Not nobody at all. And a mother on her own with a boy who's frustrated. The mother is frustrated. They're both hungry. What do you think is going to happen?
Herman Green, TVJ News.
5 persons were left homeless this morning as fire destroyed a 5-bedroom apartment and a shop at Balaclava, St. Elizabeth. The cause of the fire is unknown. Head of the St. Elizabeth Fire Department, Deputy Superintendent Conroy Gans, says 1 unit from the Santa Cruz station responded to the fire call received at 3:01 a.m. When the team arrived, the building was engulfed in flames. The owner of the grocery shop, Brenton Clare, explained what happened.
Me hear a strange sound, something boom, like I don't know, you know. Somebody listen good, then you hear more shuffling and we rush out. The other youth were outside, call me and I say, yo, like fire in the shop. So we rush out and fire up the shop. I try to get some water in there, but fire too high in there already, you know. I don't know. Never have nothing left in the plug-in.
At least $2.4 million worth of goods and furniture was lost in the fire. He said his shop was not insured and he was unable to save anything.
I couldn't get to save nothing because we have the elder them, we have to rush to get them out, and 2 elder man and partially sick, you know, so me if you get out nothing, I have to carry them to safety.
The fire department is again calling on the government to build more fire stations in St. Elizabeth so they can effectively serve communities. There's a warning this afternoon to persons who burn garbage, especially on the beach. It comes from the Chief Executive Officer of the Jamaica Environment Trust, Susan Stanley. She notes that while garbage collection is a problem at several beaches, burning must never be an alternative to getting rid of uncollected waste.
In the case of beaches, if you're talking about maybe seagrass or sargassum or whatever it is, seaweed that has washed up on shore, that does not need to be burnt. It does not need to go, you know, trees and leaves do not need to go into garbage bags to be taken away, right? They will break down very easily, naturally on the beach.
As for those who operate restaurants on beaches,
if there's a restaurant or something operating on the beach, if there's food scraps, they can be used as pet food. If there's vegetable peelings and you know, fruit peelings, those types of things, they can be used as compost.
the acting head of the Clarendon Police is raising alarm about roads so bad they're impeding crime-fighting efforts in the parish. The matter was discussed at the latest municipal corporation meeting. TVJ's Krista Campbell reports.
From Scotts Pass to Glenmuir Road, police in Clarendon say they're having difficulties fighting crime in the parish and bad roads are to blame. In fact, Acting Commander Superintendent David White notes that the police have been responding to more protests over bad roads in recent times.
We have to be dealing with roadblocks because of poor road. That also that roadblock has caused about 2 robberies during that period that we could have dealt with.
Our news team was on hand as Manchester resident Conroy Fritz encountered the problem Monday afternoon.
On the way from Bagwalk and just coming down there, a couple of vehicles was there. And because of how the road is, everybody was just stressing and I tried to swing from one patrol and just end up in the next one, and then I burst on my tires.
As for rising crime, Superintendent White says many of the violent incidents happen in what he terms depressed communities where poor infrastructure presents even more of a challenge to the police.
Places like Farm Effortville, how large it is, the road, there's no road there. Those are river track, riverbed that we have to go in.
The acting Clarendon police chief was addressing the latest municipal corporation meeting where he urged councillors and the National Works Agency to make addressing poor road conditions, particularly in more volatile areas, a priority.
I wouldn't like the road to get started out still because we have to pay taxes and all of them something for it. And if you now fix it better, we stop pay taxes. It's pretty dangerous, you know. I think it's pretty much worse than a roller coaster ride because you have to just be swerving all over the place. And I mean, for us to be doing like that, you can have pedestrians walking and you can hit them.
Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
The National Works Agency NWA says road repairs along the Constant Spring Road in St. Andrew are not expected to directly affect traffic in the early stages. Work began on Monday. The NWA says in the initial stages, repairs in the vicinity of the Constant Spring Golf Club will be confined to the verges of the road. NWA Communications Manager Stephen Shaw says 4 kilometers of the road between the Red Hills Road intersection with Eastwood Park Road to Manor Park will be reconstructed over the next 14 months. He says the road will be widened from 2 to 4 lanes with sidewalks and a concrete median. Mr. Shaw is advising motorists to make travel plans as there will be some inconveniences during the project. TVJ News has been informed that a team from the Office of the Contractor General OCG yesterday visited the offices of the National Insurance Fund NIF in New Kingston and collected documents relating to the Braco Village Hotel in Trelawney. The hotel is owned by the National Insurance Fund but managed by Spanish company Melia Hotel. Though it could not be ascertained what prompted the OCG's visit to the NIF. The 24-acre property is being managed by Melia under a 15-year lease agreement with the government. In news overseas, South Africa's ruling African National Congress ANC is demanding the resignation of the country's leader, Jacob Zuma. This follows a corruption scandal that has sapped support for the party once led by Nelson Mandela. Details from the CNN.
In its wisdom, the NEC decided as follows. 1, to recall its deployee, Comrade Jacob Zuma, in accordance with Rule 12.2, Rule 12.2, 21.2 of the ANC Constitution, which accords the NEC the authority to recall its deployees. There should be continuing, we agreed also that there should be continuing interaction between officials of the ANC and President Jacob Zuma. And the decision by the NEC to recall its deployees was only taken after exhaustive discussions. And the decisions of the ANC provides, we believe, certainty to the people of South Africa at a time when the economic and social challenges facing the country require urgent and resolute response by all sections of society.
Sports all is set for Saturday's 8th Grace Ben Francis Track and Field Invitational at Ver Technical High. This year's meet will consist of 5 championship events, including the Class 1 Girls 100 meter, Class 1 Boys 400 meter, Class 1 Boys 4x100 meter, and Boys and Girls 4x400 meter relay opens. $40,000 will be on offer to each school who win the event, while the top coach will be given $30,000. Vice Chairman of the organizing committee, Tamara Williams-Gale, says the meet forms a big part of preparations for the ISA Boys and Girls Championships.
I think it's very important due to the fact that it's about 1 month away from the Boys and Girls Championship. I am sure that most of the coaches will love to come to this meet to see how far their athletes are in terms of preparing them to compete at the Boys and Girls Championship and also to qualify for the Boys and Girls Championship.
The meet is set to get underway at 9 a.m. on Saturday. Ben Francis himself will be patron of the event. And that's the Midday News. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Join us at 7 for the Primetime News package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.